Hey everyone, Rob Patton here, CEO and co-founder of Ruddr. Today I'm super excited to announce the launch of our Ruddr Assistant. The Ruddr Assistant is an AI co-pilot that lives right within your Ruddr workspace, and it's going to enable you and your entire team to make better decisions and make those decisions more quickly. So, what can the Ruddr Assistant do? It can do things like surface important KPIs, it can analyze your business performance, or even create custom charts and reports. Maybe you need to see what billable utilization is trending toward this month, or maybe you need to identify a project team member in a critical role for a project that starts on Monday. The Ruddr Assistant can do both of those things. Maybe you need to create a strategic analysis of the business for a board meeting that you've got coming up next week. The Ruddr Assistant can do that as well. Let's jump in and show a brief live demo of our Ruddr Assistant now. Okay, we're logged into our Ruddr workspace here, and we're currently looking at our executive dashboard. To bring up the Ruddr Assistant, we'll just click this Ask Ruddr button at the top right of the screen, and that's going to bring up this pane here. Now, we can resize this pane with this little handle here, or we can click this Expand button to make this window full size in terms of its potential height and width. We can click this collapse button to go back to this experience where we can control the size. If we want to select one of the sample prompts, we can just click on those here. So what is our active client list? We can click on that. It's going to go out, pull back the clients. Now it's only going to pull the clients that I have permission to. And this is important. The Ruddr Assistant will only return data that the person who is logged in has permission to access. So there's no risk of data being exposed that someone shouldn't have permission to. So here we've got our active client list. Notice we have this ability to expand and collapse the report rows there. Also, we can save this as a CSV. Now, we can click this button at the top left to bring up our history of past chats. And what I'll do is just walk through one of these, and then we'll create a couple here on the end of this one. But I'll walk through some of these that we already have in this conversation. So we first ask, our firm currently leverages time and materials billing, but we are thinking of moving to fixed fee. What are some of the pros and cons of this change? So this is asking more of a general professional services question, and our model is trained on professional services and trained on Ruddr data. And so it comes back and gives us the pros and cons of fixed fee. So maybe there's higher scope risk, more change management needed with the fixed fee, but the potential for higher margins. So we get that analysis here. And then our next question is, what are the most important metrics to monitor in a professional services firm? So we get some good detail here about revenue and growth, profitability, utilization, cash flow, et cetera, et cetera. So very useful information. Now we get into some of the more Ruddr specific prompts. So I need a project manager with digital transformation experience to work full time on a 3-month project that starts in June. Who would you recommend and why? So the Ruddr Assistant has to go out, look at the personnel, figure out who has digital transformation experience. Maybe they're in that practice. Maybe they've worked on projects with the digital transformation type. Then the assistant needs to figure out who has availability. So in this case, it's come back with a recommendation of Macy White, who's the best fit, both in terms of expertise and availability, with a couple of backup candidates here. And then the agent explains why and why this candidate was selected as the best candidate. And we can see their availability here. So they're available to work full-time, PMP certified, project management discipline, digital transformation practice. This is a digital transformation project. So we can see the logic that the assistant used in order to make that selection for us. Our next prompt is analyze our weakest gross margin month from last year. So we had pretty poor gross margin in this sample workspace in September 2025, and it comes back and shows us, the revenue cost, gross profit, and gross margin, 16.8% points below the average gross margin for last year, which was 56.1%. And then what drove this figure down? We had too much internal work. We had non-billable work. We had projects where we didn't have revenue. And so all of these things, caused those challenges. And then um, the assistant went ahead and created a bar chart here showing us our gross margin by month for the year of 2025. We also have some tables here that we can save as CSV. We can expand or collapse there. Next, we said show a stacked bar chart of our time by type per month in 2025. So what you can see here is as we hover over these different segments, we can see the different types of time. In Ruddr, there is client billable time, client non-billable time, internal time, and time off. So those are the 4 types of time. So we can see an example of a chart here, and also we've got the report output. We can save that as CSV. The next one is produce a report of our planned utilization by month for the remainder of this year. So we can see our plan utilization. It gives us the highest plan utilization of April, the lowest is December, and we can see this line chart here of our utilization kind of dropping throughout the year. And this is typically what an organization would see. There's more allocation and utilization certainty in the near months and less in the far months. So typically a plan of utilization is going to go down the further out you go out into the future. And again, we have the chart here, which we can save, by the way, as a PNG, which is a raster format, or as an SVG, which is a vector format. We can bring that into PowerPoint or Google Slides or Word or any of those types of software products. And we've got the full data here in a report. And notice that we can scroll to the right here. So in this case, the assistant decided to bring back quite a bit of information, including like the target for each particular month, what our target attainment is going to be. So a lot of really useful information there. So what we'll do now is we'll type in a couple of prompts here. So I'm going to say, let's say, show me the planned hours for the next 4 weeks for our employee personnel. So what we want here is we don't want to see the contractor personnel. We're looking specifically for our employee personnel. And what we're looking to see is based on these allocations that each member has, what are those planned hours per member across the organization? So what we've got here, we've got a report. We can see, and this is across. We chose 4 weeks, so the current week and then the forward 4. We can see all the members of the workspace who are employees, and then we can see actually, whether they're over capacity, under capacity, and we can see the individual hours per week here. So, yeah, so pretty useful information there. And then one more we will bring up. Let's do provide a comprehensive board level analysis of our performance in 2025. And let's say, and provide recommendations for improvement in 2026. So we'll provide that prompt. And in this case, the assistant is going to have to dig a little bit deeper. So this is looking across the entire year of 2025, and we gave it a fairly vague prompt in that we didn't specify the type of performance. We didn't, talk about revenue performance. We didn't talk about individual member performance. We didn't specify utilization performance. So we gave a generic prompt here, and what we're going to see is when the prompt doesn't have that specificity, that Ruddr is going to execute a number of different steps to analyze all of that data from last year, and then come back with a board level strategic analysis of the performance. So here we go. So board level analysis, 2025 performance, and 2026 recommendations. So again, this is hitting all of our live Ruddr data from the past year. We get, a full analysis of the executive summary of 2025, what went well, what didn't go well. So strong top line activity, few individuals, material outperformed utilization expectations. key concerns. So utilization was too low for some of the folks. Billing and collections lagged. So we've got some accounts receivable that are outstanding we didn't collect on. We can see our AR concentration risk is high with a handful of clients. And then and other issues all the way down to looking at pipeline. So maybe pipeline, the opportunities didn't necessarily result in the projects. We might have had a low conversion rate there. Um, and then we've got some recommendations for 2026. So improving utilization, tightening up billing discipline, cash collection, reducing that concentration, that client concentration, improving the pipeline quality, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have some board takeaways here. There's a chart of billable utilization. And then we've got revenue here. And again, we've got some other charts that we can just click the button here and bring that as an SVG or a PNG directly into our board presentation. We also have all the data here. So if we want to grab any of these CSVs, we can grab those, bring those into Excel, do some custom charts if we want. And then at the bottom, we can see I can turn this into a one-page board deck structure with CEO, CFO, and delivery leadership talking points. So we can take this as far as we want. But anyways, this is a high-level demo of the capabilities of our Ruddr Assistant. If you'd like to see more, let us know. We'd be happy to provide a demo. Thanks.